If I could only think of how to cut you away, I wouldn't be so frightened or scared to be enlightened. It's kind of difficult to keep my mind on a day that I didn't really mind it. It's in my face, I'll find it. The fields of colors bleeding and it's so far from home. The thoughts keep coming forward, I wish I wasn't so bored. Does it really matter if I'm dying alone? I often try to fake it, what's in my face I'll take it. I'm trying not to break it, the timing it was so right. The heaviness is so light, no more or less is coming. The substance stand for something, you keep speaking easy, you really do believe me.
am the devil. I am the Lord Satan from the netherworld, ruler of the damned and eternal king of hell. Even I, the master of deceit, can only stomach so much bullshit from the mainstream media and indie grifters. That's why I tune in to Morning Extra with Uncle Warren, because he eliminates my competition, and also because I know I'm gonna see that motherfucker soon.
Deo, Deo.
Baby's got a burger and a shooter and that shake is all go down. Baby's got a burger and a shooter and that shake is all go down. Corrosion to her thighs, erosion of her pride. Baby's got a shooter, baby's got corrosion now, corrosion now. Baby's got it.
Greetings and salutations. I gotta sit up a little bit. That headroom, it always, I start to slump and then it's right down there. And it's no good. I'm an old TV guy. I gotta have that, it's the rule of thirds, right? Some of y'all don't know that. You're like, what? What are you talking about? Is that something on TikTok? Yeah, probably. Sure, why not? Happy Friday, everybody. It's the last day of January. Look, this month flew by. It went off into the ether. And we start February. So Sunday is Groundhog's Day. So if Punxsutawney Phil sees his shadow, his wife cheats on him for 6 more months or 6 more weeks, depending on how quick she can get the divorce through and get the cash. Anyway, I don't know the life of groundhogs, but anyway, I try not to get in their business. Good morning. Are we still on the air? Who's here? Everybody's here? What happened? We got Max here. What's up, buddy? Talking about the air traffic controllers. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. We got a story on that. What's up, Chuck? Chuck flying around up there, making mischief. We are Ronan. Bum, bum, bum, bum, bum, bum, bum. Good to see you, bud. How are you, sir? That's it for now. And I guess we got our, as Genesis would say, our dodo lurkers out there. So, sorry, that's an old music reference. It didn't used to be. I know no one's here, man. Everybody's at the carnival. Yep. How you doing? Good morning to you. I know. I guess they thought this was a federal holiday and we'd be closed or something. Anyway, well, we do have a lot of news to get to, talk about the plane crash stuff here and more here in just a second. But, as always, we want to, shout out our peeps who need, our help here. One of those is, of course, Chanda over there at Beauty and the Boomer and Trailer Park Pundit. Sweet lady, dealing with lung cancer, going through the treatments now, and is just, a super champ about it. But of course, these things cost money. If you can help out, the GoFundMe link for her is down in the description below. If you can't, donate any cash, if you can share out the link, that will be cool. Also, our buddy Kevin over at Black Bear News needs our help as well. He lost his home in the LA fires, and again, his link is down below if you'd like to donate. Or share the link, all that information. And he has other donation links down there as well. Good morning, John. How are you? Peace, love, and soul to you. Just climb aboard the soul train. I remember when I was a little kid, like around noon, 11 o'clock noon, Central Time. I can't remember. exactly what time. It was Saturday. There was always a plethora of things, right? You had what is it? Dick Clark's American Bandstand was around there, but then you also had Soul Train, and then you had regional wrestling, and then you had Godzilla movies, and you also had karate movies too. Weekends were great for TV, but I missed out on a lot of it because I was outside playing. I like to go play a lot. Get outside. Mom say, "All right, we'll see you when get home before it's dark." That kind of thing. Willie Bragg in the house. He knows what's up too. We got all our OGs in the house hanging out with us this morning. Yes, we attracted an old crowd here. It's like a Glendale YMCA up in here. So that's a reference. And there is information behind that reference, but I shan't share that with you at the moment. We need to get to the news stuff as things are happening. Also, a programming note before we get started here, and since I tend to forget things, and I like this hat, but it does weird things. So no secret show on Saturday, but there is a 50% chance that we'll have a secret show tonight. But like I said, it's 50% chance. A lot of things have to come into play. Is this the thing? What the hell? That is just driving me crazy. Anyway, fuck it. So we might do one tonight. But anyway, I'll put it in all the local broadcast outlets and let you know if that's going to happen or not. Because Lainey Peterson's birthday is tomorrow, and last time tried to do a show on her birthday, didn't quite work. I think it was on a Saturday last time too. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Anyway, but we're not fucking around this time. So we may do one tonight, but I'll let you know. That being said, all said and nice and words coming out. Willie, you're yapping away about politics with a friend of yours on the phone. Oh, okay. Okay, very good. All right, let's get to it, guys. So let's talk about the crash in D.C. that y'all been seeing about. So no survivors are expected in that crash. So far, 28 bodies have been recovered from the Potomac. And there may be an update. I haven't seen one yet, but emergency crews have recovered 28 bodies from the near freezing river following the collision of an American Airlines jet carrying 64 people and a U.S. Army Blackhawk helicopter with 3 aboard near Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C., according to Fire and EMS Chief John A. Donnelly. The official has confirmed that emergency crews are switching from a rescue mission to recovery operation, adding that efforts are ongoing to return the victims' remains to their families. We don't believe there are any survivors from this accident, and we have recovered 27 people from the plane, possibly more now, and one from the helicopter, Donnelly told reporters. First responders have been working in extremely frigid conditions. They found heavy wind, they found ice on the water, and they've operated all night in these conditions, according to Donnelly. Families of victims have been assured that all bodies from Wednesday night's crash will be recovered. Currently, 67 are believed dead, 64 from the passenger plane, and 3 from the helicopter. I'm confident we will do that, but it will take time and may require additional equipment, Donnelly said, noting that the NTSB, that's the National Transportation Safety Board, will lead the next phase of the operation. The crash was absolutely preventable. The newly sworn-in Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy told reporters on Thursday. We are going to wait for all the information to come in from this vantage point, but what I've seen so far, do I think this was preventable? Absolutely, Duffy said. He noted that the Blackhawk was on a training mission, but emphasized that this does not imply the pilot was inexperienced. Wednesday night's crash was the deadliest aviation disaster in the U.S. since November 12th, 2001, when an American Airlines flight crashed in Queens, New York, killing all 260 people on board. I remember that. It was just like the month after 9/11, and people were like, another one? They're like, no. This was something else. This was something else. Okay. So let me get this set up here. Just trying to get more information on this. Okay, so so American Airlines said on yesterday that 60 passengers and 4 crew members were on board the jet traveling from Wichita, Kansas to the United States, capital of D.C. An unnamed Army official confirmed that the helicopter on a training flight was carrying 3 soldiers who had taken off from Fort Belvoir in Virginia. Washington, D.C. Fire Chief John Donnelly said he did not expect any survivors, as both aircraft fell into the Potomac River after the collision. Inflatable rescue boats were launched, and rescuers used light towers to illuminate the site. Donnelly described search efforts as highly complex operation. I know, but it's a river, but yeah, it's pretty big river. The conditions out there were extremely rough for responders. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser really? I didn't know that was the D.C. mayor's name. I'm sorry. I was caught unawares. Also told a news conference at the airport that rescue efforts were underway but now it's more recovery efforts. So this is what they know about the crash. At about 9 p.m. local time Wednesday, an inbound American Airlines aircraft flight 5342, manufactured by the Canadian firm Bombardier, it's kind of a unfortunate name at this point, collided with a Sikorsky Blackhawk Army helicopter as it approached Ronald Reagan Airport, located along the Potomac River southwest of D.C. Before the scheduled landing, air traffic controllers asked the pilots if they could land on runway 33, and flight tracking sites showed that the pilots adjusted their flight path to align with the request. Less than 30 seconds before the crash, an air traffic controller asked the Army helicopter if it could see the arriving plane. Quote, Pat 25, that's the Army helicopter. Do you have a CRJ American Airlines plane in sight? Pat 25 passed behind the CRJ, an air traffic controller said at 8:47 p.m. Local time. At the time of the crash, air traffic controllers were heard saying, crash, crash, crash. This is an alert 3. I just saw a fireball and then it was just gone. I haven't seen anything since they hit the river, but it was a CRJ and a helicopter that hit, another controller said. Images from the midair collision caught on a webcam at the JFK Center for Performing Arts in Washington, D.C., showed the 2 aircraft exploding into flames and plummeting into the Potomac River. I'm pretty sure you've seen that video a lot, and if you haven't, it's just a little thing in the background. We're not going to do that for clickbait bullshit stuff. So, Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority CEO John Potter said the airport would remain closed until at least 11 a.m. local time. So, what about the victims? The U.S. figure skating governing body said several of the 60 passengers on board the plane were U.S. ice skaters, family members, and coaches returning from a camp after a figure skating competition. The 3 people on the helicopter were all believed to be soldiers. CBS News, citing a law enforcement official familiar with the investigation, said the bodies of at least 30 people had been recovered. U.S. government officials have not mentioned anything about the survivors. They have now. They said they don't expect to have any. Russian news agency TASS reported that former figure skating world champions Evgenia Shishkova and Vadim Namov were among those killed. The Kremlin expressed condolences to the families of the Russian victims of the accident. There were other of our fellow citizens on board. It's bad news today from Washington. We are sorry and send our condolences to the family and friends, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters. While no official death toll has been announced yet, U.S. Senator Roger Marshall of Kansas, from where the flight had originated, suggested most, if not all, on board had been killed, as have the rest of everybody else on the scene have said that. It's really hard when you lose probably over 60 Kansans simultaneously, he told a news conference at Reagan Airport. Dan DePowden, AccuWeather Senior Director of Forecast Operations, told a Reuters news agency that hypothermia is a concern for anyone who might have survived the crash after the plane fell into the water. At these frigid water temperatures, the human body's core temperature quickly drops. Exhaustion or unconsciousness can occur in as little as 15 to 30 minutes, he said. And I think you know what a Blackhawk helicopter is. We don't have to go into that. Well, in a statement, the Pentagon said the three soldiers aboard the Blackhawk helicopter were fairly experienced, had night vision goggles, and were carrying out an annual training mission at the time of the crash. And they said too that skies were clear too. There was no clouds or anything. So Trump said this too. So Trump questioned the actions of the Army helicopter in a post on Truth Social. He said the helicopter was going straight at the airplane for an extended period of time. It's a clear night. The lights on the plane were blazing. And of course, air traffic control was telling them about the plane too. Why didn't the helicopter go up or down or turn? Trump's no aeronautical expert, so, take that as you will. But I mean, it's a good point. Clear night. How can you, unless you're fucking around? Why didn't the control tower tell the helicopter what to do instead of asking if they saw the plane? This is a bad situation. That looks like it should have been prevented. Not good. Yeah. Well, it's under your watch now, Trumpy. Trying to blame it on DEI. That's so funny. In a Thursday press conference, Trump indicated that the diversity among the Federal Aviation Administration workforce could be to blame, suggesting with little evidence that employment standards had been lowered to bring in people from different backgrounds. And not for nothing, though, and this is not to attest to what Trump said, but I remember back in the 80s, when Reagan was dealing with striking air traffic controllers, right? And so at that time, you were getting a lot of explainers about what air traffic controllers do. And at that time, it was a pretty fucking strenuous job. Like, those guys were probably like smoking coffee, because they have to watch. I'm sure now it's probably easier, maybe, with better technology, but back then, woo. People in the helicopter should have seen where they were going. I can't imagine people. All right, whatever. Okay, so so he blames he's blaming DEI. That DEI is I think my buddy Ed said this best, that DEI is the Hamas now of the United States. So anything DEI is considered Hamas. Kill it, kill it, kill it. Okay, so shortly afterwards, Trump named Chris Rocheleau as the acting head of the FAA. U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth wrote on the tweeters that an investigation would be launched immediately into the cause of the incident. In a video posted by the Pentagon later on, Hegseth said the crash was a tragedy, a horrible loss of life for those 64 souls on that civilian airliner, and of course the 3 soldiers in that Blackhawk, adding that next to kin notifications were ongoing. He also said that they anticipate the investigation will quickly be able to determine whether the aircraft was in the corridor and at the right altitude at the time of the incident. Todd Curtis, CEO of consultancy firm airsafe.com, told Al Jazeera that the collision was very unusual. The Washington National Airport, where this event occurred, is one of the busiest in the country, and it's very, very well managed by air control, said Curtis, a former airline safety engineer for Boeing. It's surprising to me that something that is routine for the military somehow ended in a tragedy, I suspect there are several things that had to go wrong for this to happen. I mean, I got my questions about it too. Like I said, it made like a beeline towards the plane, and it was a clear night. Jacqueline. We need a theme song, an entrance. We need a wrestling entrance theme song for Jacqueline, like, I will eat every piece of meat in this world. I don't think you'd want to do that though, Jacqueline. We'll think of something. Good morning, dear. So what else we got here on the table? We got more, I think, maybe. So also on the flight were with the U.S. figure skaters were, like we said, former Russian world champions were on board as well. I mean, it's sad. I mean, these are skaters, these ain't like, soldiers or anything like that. These just fucking skaters, man. It's terrible. The U.S. figure skating body has confirmed several skaters were on the flight that crashed near Reagan Washington National Airport. I'm just going to go through here and see if there's any new information. So Russian figure skaters included world champion couple Shishkova and Namov, who won the 1994 pairs title. Let's see. Kremlin reported that Russian citizens were on board the plane, saying it had seen sad reports. The couple were among them. Officials have not said how many people died. U.S. figure skating said the athletes, coaches, and family members were returning from Kansas from the National Development Camp. More than 180 athletes competed in the January 20th to 26th championships in Kansas. The organization said the development camp was held the 27th through the 28th for nearly 150 up-and-coming skaters across the performance levels, the U.S. figure skating website said. Officials said that the American Airlines jet and helicopter crashed into the Potomac. So, all right, so let's see. So so they went to this They went to the figure skating meet, right, in Kansas, right? And so several people from Kansas returned, I guess, with the Russian skaters to fly to, I guess, Washington, D.C. to see them off so that they could fly back to Russia or whatever. That's why I'm thinking, like, well, why the hell would you fly back to D.C. when the thing was in Kansas? Jacqueline, what'd you say? You said at 4'11", I'm not sure a wrestling song would be quite appropriate. Perhaps the hi ho, it's off to work we go. Oh. John says it 100% looked like the helicopter was out to hit the plane. Yeah, people were saying it made a beeline. I mean, it could be, what is it? It's either stupidity or complacency, right? So either the person knew what they were doing or they were fucking around. Could have been some young people. I don't mean to sound like that old guy, but there could be some old people, some young kids fucking around there with their marijuanas up there. But no, so it could have been something like that where they just like took their eye off of something, all of a sudden, boom, there it is. But like I said, if it was, like fog or something like that, you could kind of understand maybe, but clear night, I don't know. Look, like I said, I don't really care what Trump says, but broken clock, he does kind of have a good point there. So just saying. But it turns out, Trumpy, it's not DEI. That's the fault of all this. So as Trump blames DEI for plane crash, report shows understaffed air traffic control. There you go. When you get to the crux of it, you get to the truth. A preliminary report on Wednesday night's crash involving an American Airlines commercial flight and a military helicopter revealed that the air traffic control tower in the vicinity of the accident was not staffed at normal levels, with just one controller handling a task that 2 employees ordinarily would have done in the high-stress job. Like I said, this is a high-stress job already. Now you got 1 person doing 2 jobs? The FAA report on Thursday said the staffing at the time of the crash was not normal for the time of day and volume of traffic. One controller was instructing helicopters near Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport while also directing planes landing at and departing from the airport. And Reagan, I've been to that airport. Granted, it was back in the 80s, but that's a busy fucking airport, right? As the New York Times reported, controllers use different radio frequencies to communicate with helicopter pilots and those flying planes. While the controller is communicating with pilots of the helicopter and the jet, the 2 sets of pilots may not be able to hear each other, according to the Times. Air traffic controllers have been forced to work longer hours and work weeks in recent years amid budget constraints and high turnover. In 2023, the tower near Washington, D.C. had 19 fully certified air traffic controllers. The FAA and the Controllers Union say the optimal number is 30. The FAA report was released shortly after Trump presented his own theory without evidence of why the crash that killed 67 people happened. Trump suggested at a press briefing that under the Biden administration, the FAA had overseen a diversity push with a focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. A reporter at the briefing asked whether Trump was saying the crash was somehow caused and the result of as the result of diversity hiring, and called on him to offer evidence to support the claim. And of course, he says it just could have been. Could have been. Adding that his administration has a much higher standard than anybody else for hiring federal employees. It could have been. Could have been Santa. Government executive noted that the FAA began DEI hiring programs as early as 2013, which continued under the first Trump administration. No identifying information has been reported about the air traffic controller who was handling the flight paths in question on Wednesday. American Airlines has also not released... Let's see, where were we at there? American Airlines has also not released any personal information about who was piloting its aircraft. Army officials said the helicopter was piloted by 1 man and 1 woman, and a male staff sergeant was also on board. Trump told reporters that he was confident that DEI hiring practices played a role in the crash because he is a fucking moron. He has common sense. But critics, including Representative AOC, noted that Trump has taken several steps since taking office less than 2 weeks ago that could make air travel more dangerous for Americans in the long term. Go Start, what's up? Good to see you, bud. Trump gutted the Aviation Safety Committee last week, said AOC, referring to the Aviation Security Advisory Committee. Air traffic controllers already understaffed got Trump's buyout this week with a 1-week ultimatum to decide. It's not DEI, it's him. And this buyout, I'll tell you about that more here in a little bit. Representative Rick Larson, Democrat out of Washington, also warned last week that Trump's federal hiring freeze could worsen understaffing among air traffic controllers. Hiring air traffic controllers is the number 1 safety issue, according to the entire aviation industry, said Larson at the time. Instead of working to improve aviation safety and lower costs for hardworking American families, the administration is choosing to spread bogus DEI claims to justify this decision. I'm not surprised by the president's dangerous and divisive actions, but the administration must reverse course. He's not going to reverse course. On Thursday, Larson offered condolences for the families of the victims in the crash and cautioned against speculating on the causes of aviation accidents before we have the facts and the details. However, I know it's not DEI because it never is, said Larson. The National Transportation Safety Board will look at the causes and contributing factors of this accident. It's important to let the NTSB complete its work before we consider any potential policy response. Yes. Trump's like, it's DEI. You get somebody that's not supposed to be in there. So they put him in there. Yeah. I know. Yeah. Well, it's Hamas, man. DEI is American Hamas is what it is, right? You say it and it's supposed to make you want to just spit, like spit that taste out of your mouth because you just heard that word, or technically letters in this case. So, anyway. So, and it's only, like I said, this is still just January. We're going to see a lot more, and a lot more Trump excuses like this, because we know this bullshit was going to happen. We know this bullshit was going to happen, even with Biden or Harris. I mean, like we said, it's the same people, so don't get it twisted. Don't get, this is like, all right, now we got to jump on Trump 24/7. Yeah, we probably should, but we'll jump on everybody else 24/7 too while we're at it. So, meanwhile, over 500 flights were canceled at Reagan Airport. Like we said, they said some were canceled. There's a lot, 500 flights after the collision. A total of 516 flights have been canceled at Reagan National Airport near Washington, D.C. after that crash on Wednesday evening. 20 other flights have been delayed as well. So we said the planes and the helicopter crashed with 64 people on board. The aircraft was preparing to land at nearby Reagan National Airport. Let's see. So I think that's all that really says about that the flights are going to be canceled, but it doesn't say for how long. I think it was supposed to be canceled through 11 a.m. today, Eastern time, I believe. So yeah, so that was just basically just adding that extra little nugget in there too. So, hello, what's this? I didn't order the chicken. Sorry, folks. When something pops up and you're like, what the hell? So, you heard in that story, they were talking about that previous story, they were talking about the buyout, right? So Trump is doing this shit with the federal employees. So Trump offers 2 million federal employees 8 months pay to quit, right? So this is his idea of scaling down the budget, shrinking the government. So this is the Trump administration said on Tuesday it's offering financial incentives to 2 million civilian full-time federal workers to quit as part of plans to drastically shrink the size of U.S. government. The deferred resignation program would allow federal employees to remain on the payroll through September 30th, but without having to work in person and possibly having their duties reduced or eliminated in the meantime, according to an email sent to federal employees and seen by Reuters. The email gives federal employees until February 6th. I believe that's, that's 1, 2, 3. I think that's next Friday, to decide whether to take part. It instructed interested employees to reply to the email from a government account and type the word resign. Other words would be accepted as peace. I'm out of here. Audi 5000. Peace, and chicken grease. The offer covers civilian employees except those in immigration and national security related positions and people working for the Postal Service. Oh, that's going to piss them off. You don't want to see them going postal. That's an 80s thing too, man. We invented everything. The unprecedented move comes as Republican Donald Trump has used his early days in office to shrink, purge, and remake the U.S. federal government to conform to his political priorities. There are about 2.3 million U.S. civilian employees, excluding the Postal Service. Security-related agencies account for the bulk of the federal workforce, but hundreds of thousands of people work across the country in jobs overseeing veterans' health care, inspecting agriculture, and paying the government's bills, among other jobs. The share of federal employees as a percentage of the full non-farm workforce, now under 2%, has been on the decline for decades. The email said the administration expects to see a more streamlined and flexible workforce. While the military and some agencies are likely to increase the size of their staff, the majority of agencies are likely to be downsized through restructuring and layoffs, the email said, and warned that federal employees could not be guaranteed of their jobs. So that's like, and you're seeing this on the city level too, like in big cities, while the military and some agencies are likely to increase the size of their staff, so you increase the size of their police force. Meanwhile, who gets the brunt of it? The social services that the people really need. At this time, we cannot give a full assurance regarding the certainty of your position or agency, but should your position be eliminated, you will be treated with dignity. The email says the reform of the federal workforce will be significant. You'll be treated with dignity. Don't worry. We'll be nice to you when we bend you over and fuck you up the ass. Democratic Senator Tim Kaine on Tuesday called the proposal. You remember Tim Kaine? That was Hill Baby's VP running mate when she got her ass handed to her by Trumpy. So Tim Kaine called the proposal a fake offer, saying Trump did not have authority to offer it, and employees may not get the promised payouts. It was unclear how many workers would accept the offer and what impact it would have on government costs or service levels. NBC News cited a senior administration official who estimated that 5 to 10% of the federal workforce could quit, leading to $100 billion in savings, a figure Reuters could not verify. Of course, it's not passed on to you or me, kids. Elon Musk, the billionaire tapped by Trump to oversee a government cost-cutting effort, initially aimed to cut $2 trillion in spending from the $6.8 trillion federal budget. He has since said it's more likely a smaller amount of spending will be cut. Oh, smaller amount of spending? Many federal workers are represented by unions and have significant employment protections. The memo says the federal government plans to use furloughs and reclassify a substantial number of employees to at-will status, which allows an employer to cut staff without prior notice or justification, basically everything you have in retail in all these states across the country. Federal buyouts are generally capped at $25,000. So you get 25 large for 8 months. Oh, spend it wisely. The unsigned memo from a new email address, hr@opm.gov, that was created in recent days by the Trump administration was titled Fork in the Road. Musk sent an email in 2022 to Twitter employees that mirrored the same subject line. So he's trying to pull a Twitter and like just get everybody out of there. The White House did not immediately respond to an email request for comment. Maybe if you worked for them, they might. The National Treasury Employees Union, which represents about 150,000 federal workers, warned its members that the email is designed to entice or scare you into resigning and said, "We strongly urge you not to resign." In response, in a separate email to agencies, the White House Office of Personnel Management offered more details on the program, saying federal employees taking part should promptly have their duties reassigned or eliminated and be placed on paid administrative leave until the end of the deferred resignation period. Federal employees could take another job and will continue to accrue retirement benefits through September 30th. Agencies can exempt specific positions from the offers. Trump has issued directives in his first days in office to restructure the government and compel federal workers to return to offices. Federal agency heads were asked to identify employees on probationary periods or who have served less than 2 years. Such employees are easier to fire. Trump also issued a freeze on federal hiring, as we told you, except for military, immigration enforcement, national security, and public safety jobs. Trump also signed an executive order that would make it easier to fire thousands of federal workers by reclassifying their job status. Between the flurry of anti-worker executive orders and policies, it's clear that the Trump administration's goal is to turn the federal government into a toxic environment where workers cannot stay even if they want to, American Federation of Government Employees President Everett Kelly said in a statement urging federal workers not to make a hasty decision. Well, they're trying to do with the government probably what they're trying to do in the private sector too, and automate everything. They're probably going to try and automate the Senate. I mean, it's practically automated now. They're automatons. They're not doing what they think is right. They're doing what they're told to do. You might as well have the band from Chuck E. Cheese in Congress. You probably there's about as much representation there. So I don't know about you guys. Like I said, I'm an old cat. I remember back in the day when you filed taxes, you had to do it the old-fashioned way, which was a pain in the ass. You had to like mail it in and all this stuff. You got to fill out the forms. But then they started doing this direct file stuff where they like put it right in your bank account. You don't have to wait on a check and all that stuff. Well, the years start coming and they don't stop coming. Sorry. Republicans trying to kill free direct file program funded by for-profit tax prep industry. This is from Julia Conley over there at Common Dreams. Like I said, I like Common Dreams, but I tend to stay away from most of the articles that have the Trump derangement syndrome in them. But since Trump's president now, we have to just kind of wade through the waters. The popular free direct file program introduced by the Internal Revenue Service in 2024 is being expanded this tax season despite the objections of dozens of congressional Republicans. But an analysis released Thursday reveals why GOP lawmakers are so intent on ensuring the Trump administration ultimately eliminates the program and forces taxpayers to rely on services from private tax filing corporations. Okay, so my bad. I thought that was something else. So this is direct file that you can actually, you don't have to use like TurboTax or anything like that and pay an outside fee, right? This is something to save you that money. So 29 Republicans who sent a letter to Trump in December asking him to end direct file with a day one executive order. Probably from the tax assessor lobby. What's that, Jacqueline? Over here in the UK, only the self-employed file their own taxes. Everybody else has their tax taken straight from their pay pocket in the pay system. Well, they take it from ours too, but it's like sometimes they overtake, and at the end of the year, you got to file to see if they took too much, and if they did, then you're supposed to get some money back. In theory, unless you owe on student loans or some other trumped-up charge. So 29 Republicans sent a letter to Trump asking him to end direct file with a day one executive order. Have received more than $1.8 million in campaign contributions over the course of their careers from big tax prep and their proxies, said the consumer advocacy watchdog Public Citizen. Big tax prep. Yeah, there we go. So all these tax preps like what's it? QuickBooks. You got TurboTax. You got H&R Block. You got all these people, right? You're like, man, and you want all that money back. You don't want to give those fuckers any. If you could do your own taxes and why should you have to do this? This is so ridiculous to go through a third party. God damn this thing. The companies that have donated to the lawmakers include Intuit and H&R Block, as well as the American Coalition for Taxpayer Rights, a group of lobbying firms that work on behalf of the tax filing industry. Wow, there's just like a whole mafiosa of tax filing people. With direct file offered to taxpayers in 25 new states starting this week after being available in 12 states last year, Public Citizen revealed that in 2024, the industry and its lobbying firms contributed more than $700,000 to the Republican lawmakers who wrote the letter. Lobbyists and lobbying firms contributed most of the money detailed in the report, more than $1.5 million of the total. The remaining money was donated by political action committees for H&R Block, Intuit, and the lobbying firms. U.S. Representative Adrian Smith, Republican out of Nebraska, who spearheaded the letter, claiming direct file poses a threat to taxpayers' freedom from government overreach. Wait, what? That's freedom from government over. You're cutting out the middleman. So it's like, okay, so this is you. Hi, this is the government. It's like, look, I just go straight to the government here. These taxes, baby. Meanwhile, your H&R Blocked up there is like, I want some money, baby. I want some money, baby. And he's like, all right, baby, I got you. And then, they start to fucking. You probably didn't need to see that. The tax filing industry and lobbying firms have given Smith close to $225,000 large over the course of his career, second only to Representative Darren LaHood. LaHood. Right here in Illinois, Representative, aptly named, who received $242,256 smackers. Both also received more money from tax filing interest in 2024 than any other lawmaker. Go thinking, huh? What the hell? That's crazy. How that works out. Public Citizen noted that 12 of the signatories represent 5 of the states with direct file pilot programs in place last year. According to data from the Economic Security Project, a combined 15.2 million taxpayers in these states were eligible for the program in the first year, the report said. Had they all used the programs, these taxpayers would have saved more than $2.4 billion. These taxpayers would have saved more than $2.4 billion with a B in filing fees. See, there it is. And those lobbyists are like, you better not cut us out. You better not cut us out. We want that cheese. We want that cheddar. With 12 lawmakers having taken more than $640,000 from the direct file opposition and their proxies throughout their career, these Republicans are putting the interests of their donors ahead of their constituents, said Public Citizen. Public Citizen also said sky blue, water wet sometimes. Direct file is a common sense government program that was overwhelmingly well liked by the filers who used it during its 2024 pilot, said Susan Harley, managing director for Public Citizen's Congress Watch Division. I'd never even heard of this, to be honest with you. Eligible filers in 25 states now have an option to directly e-file their taxes for free to the IRS. The new administration must stand up to greedy big tax prep giants and their army of hired lobbyists by continuing to build on the popular direct file program beyond this tax season. Yeah, that's not going to happen. $2.4 billion or whatever it was. According to the report, donations from the tax filing industry have particularly flowed towards Republicans who sit on the House Ways and Means Committee, which has jurisdiction over the IRS and taxation. Together, these signers have reached more than $1.3 million, have received more than $1.3 million over their careers, including more than $500,000 during the 2024 cycle, said Public Citizen. These members account for nearly 2/3 of the Republican majority of the committee. People in 25 states will be able to save hundreds of dollars by filing their taxes without paying a private company or giving a cut of their refund to Intuit or H&R Block, noted Public Citizen. These savings can provide some financial relief at a time when budgets are stretched thin, said the group. Direct file should be expanded, kept permanent, and be held up as a model for government programs enacted to help average Americans, not corporate America. I love how that one guy said it was government overreach for you to just directly give the government your taxes. How dare you not spend extra money in our capitalist system and try to get less of your... How dare you not try and get less of your money back, you silly biscuit? What in the shit is wrong with you? Wow. That should have been in the propaganda watch right there. They try to spin that shit, man. The government overreach. It's not even, it's government underreach. It's like not even reaching. You're giving it to the government. The government ain't even reaching. Whatever, man. Meanwhile, Trump hates Venezuelans. Trump administration revokes deportation protections for over 600,000 Venezuelans She's not Venezuelan. She's South Dakota lady there. Homeland Security Secretary and QVC model Kristi Noem said Wednesday that the Trump administration had revoked a decision that would have protected roughly 600,000 people from Venezuela from deportation, putting some at risk of being removed from the country in about 2 months. Noem signed a notice reversing a move by her predecessor, Alejandro Mayorkas, which I believe was Superman's dad, in the waning days of the Biden administration to extend temporary protected status. The change is effective immediately and comes amid a slew of actions as the Trump administration works to make good on promises to crack down on illegal immigration and carry out the largest mass deportation effort in U.S. history. Before he left town, Mayorkas signed an order that said for 18 months they were going to extend this protection to people that are on temporary protected status, which meant that they were going to be able to stay here and violate our laws for another 18 months, Noem said with Fox's dick in her mouth. We stopped that, Noem said. We sure did. We got him, and how. Experts and advocates say the immediate impact among those affected would be uncertainty and fear. I'm scared even though I'm here legally, and I arrived illegally, said Karen Añez, a 41-year-old single mother who requested TPS in 2023 and received it in 2024 after arriving in the U.S. on a tourist visa. I am distraught seeing how else I can stay here legally. So just stirring up another hornet's nest is our pal Trumpy there. To what end, I'm not sure. Going back to the tax thing. Hey, good morning, Ellie. Good to see you, dear. Going back to the tax thing, I find that just hilarious how they tried to stretch that into government overreach. When you're cutting out a third party, an unnecessary third party that will take money from you to do a service that you could do yourself for free. As somebody said, make it make sense. Smeghead, what's up? Damn, looks like I'm never coming back. Can't trust air travel no more. Nope, I wouldn't come back either. I would not come back either. If I was out of the country, I'd be finding ways to stay out of the country because this place is crazy. Although you do not want to be a victim of the United States foreign policy, wherever you live in the world. So just take that into mind. We were talking the other day about this DeepSeek AI thing that China's got, this open source thing. Well, it's kind of putting open AI here in the good old US of A into a tizzy. As OpenAI seeks $40 billion in funds amid DeepSeek inflicted crisis. Dun, dun, dun. Crisis on multiple Earths. This guy with the hair. Jesus. This guy with the hair. What the hell? Look, what is this, Lord of the Rings? What the hell? Is that guy really that short? Fuck that guy. I don't even know who that is. Fuck him. OpenAI, the creator of ChatGPT, is aiming to raise $40 billion in a new funding round that would boost its valuation to a remarkable $340 billion, according to a report from the Wall Street Journal. And I think Trump came in saying, yeah, we're going to do all this stuff with AI, and it's going to be great. We're going to make a shit ton of money, and I'm going to make a shit ton of money and all this stuff. And then DeepSeek said, don't know about that, Trumpy. Japan's SoftBank is leading the investment with discussions underway for a $15 to $25 billion stake, which would make it OpenAI's largest financial backer. This comes amid rising competition as Chinese startup DeepSeek introduced an advanced chatbot developed at a significantly lower cost than U.S. competitors, unsettling markets. It was delightful, the reign of terror. More tears, I thirst. SoftBank's involvement was first reported by the Financial Times. The funding round follows a previous round just 3 months ago, which valued OpenAI at $157 billion. signaling an unprecedented doubling of its valuation in a short period, an indicator of the massive investment required to build cutting-edge AI models and infrastructure. Yeah, overreach, exactly. What's up, peace? You know what's up. OpenAI and SoftBank are part of the Stargate initiative, a $500 billion project led by U.S. President Donald Trump aimed at advancing AI infrastructure. Because fuck food prices and fuck you living under bridges, let's get this AI infrastructure done. OpenAI plans to use part of the new funds to fulfill its $18 billion commitment to the Stargate project. SoftBank is also expected to contribute more than $15 billion to the initiative, with the total investment in the partnership possibly exceeding $40 billion. SoftBank stocks rose 3% in Tokyo trading following the announcement, despite early successes with investments in Yahoo and Alibaba. SoftBank has faced challenges in other ventures. The company's pivot into AI is bolstered by its stake in chip designer ARM. Elon Musk, a former investor in OpenAI and critic of its CEO Sam Altman, has dismissed the Stargate initiative, suggesting that its investors lack the financial resources they claim. Altman has refuted Musk's comments as wrong. So what happened with DeepSeek? So Bloomberg on Monday reported that Chinese artificial intelligence startup DeepSeek shook global technology markets, raising concerns about the future of America's technological dominance. The company unveiled a revolutionary AI model that delivers powerful performance while operating on less advanced chips, challenging the high-cost infrastructure central to U.S. tech firms like NVIDIA, who was making a shit ton of money until this happened. This breakthrough has been widely regarded as a game changer, showcasing that cutting-edge AI can be achieved without heavy reliance on top-tier hardware. That's right, baby. You could do more with less. That's the Gen X way. Shares of NVIDIA Corp., which has been a leader in the AI boom, plunged by 10% in pre-market trading, reflecting market anxiety over the potential disruption to its business model. Meanwhile, NASDAQ 100 futures dropped 3.4% and S&P 500 futures declined 2%, signaling widespread market turbulence. Europe's tech sector also took a hit, with ASML holding NV dropping 11%. The stocks, that's with two X's, woo, sexy. The Stoxx 600 technology subindex is braced for a combined loss of $1 trillion in market capitalization if the trends persist. Trillion. We're getting into the T words now. DeepSeek shows that it's possible to develop powerful AI models that cost less, said Wei Cern Ling, managing director at Union Bancaire Privée. It can potentially derail the investment case for the entire AI supply chain, which is driven by high spending from a small handful of hyperscalers. The release of DeepSeek's model had immediate global repercussions. The NASDAQ futures saw a massive uptick in trading, with over 200,000 contracts exchanged by 4:45 a.m. in New York, 4 times the average volume for that time. Chinese stocks tied to AI, such as Merit Interactive Company, surged to their daily limits, while the Hang Seng Tech Index climbed 2%. In contrast, European and U.S. AI-related companies face sharp declines. Siemens, Siemens Energy AG, one of Europe's AI-linked firms, dropped 20%. Yes, I am 13 years old. I will not apologize for that. These developments have cast doubts on the high capital expenditures driving the U.S. AI boom. Nurgunen Tiruchelvam, what is he, Klingon? Head of Consumer and Internet Research at Althea Capital, noted that the DeepSeek product is deeply problematic for the thesis that the significant capital expenditure and operating expenses that Silicon Valley has incurred is the most appropriate way to approach the AI trend. It calls into question the massive resources that have been dedicated to AI. That's a good point. Why do they need all these massive resources? Like, why are these places buying up, nuclear power stations? Why is Bill Gates buying up all this farmland? What is all this stuff for? Is it for AI? Is it really for that? I don't think so. I think it's for some ulterior motives. And all you sneaky Pete's out there, you know what's up. You know fuckery is always afoot. Meanwhile, people were talking about gold, right? Chuck Woolery, R.I.P. King, right? The OG host of the Wheel of Fortune, Chuck Woolery, of course, Love Connection, be back in 2 and 2. Before he died, he was a gold pimp, right? You see a lot of these in these old people commercials on these old people channels. They got all these old people saying, "You better buy some gold. You better buy some gold. They're coming for you. They're coming out of the mountains. The hills have eyes. I seen them. I seen them all." Right? So they tell you there's gold in them hills. No, there's gold in somebody's pocket you need to buy. So now gold prices have hit a historic high after a 2% surge. Yummy. Look at all that delicious gold. You just want to eat it all up. Noms. Nom, nom, nom. Don't eat gold. That's probably not good for you. Is there any more through this? Okay, good. I didn't know it was this short. All right. Gold prices surged by 2% yesterday, surpassing $2,850 per troy ounce for the first time, according to trading data. As of 15:53 Greenwich Mean Time, April gold futures on the New York COMEX exchange rose by $56.96, reaching a historic high of $28.50 per troy ounce. Previously, Federal Reserve Board of Governors member Michelle Bowman stated that while the U.S. Federal Reserve is keeping an eye on the price of gold, it is not prioritizing it over other indicators. And it probably is like this thing now where it's just this rush on buying gold. And when you buy gold like that, the price is going to go up. Happens every damn time. Yes, we were thinking about it. I don't know what we were thinking about it more strongly than any other indicator at this point, Bowman said during a discussion hosted by the Manhattan Institute in April. The historic increase in the price of gold holds significance due to its nature as a dollar-denominated asset. When the value of gold rises, it often indicates a decrease in the value of the dollar. What's up, Miguel? Good to see you, brother, man. How are you, sir? An increase in the price of gold can reflect various factors, including a loss of confidence in the dollar. When investors perceive higher risks or uncertainties associated with the dollar, they may seek refuge in gold as a safe haven asset, thus driving its price up. Or the power of Chuck Woolery, R.I.P. King. He's all up in there and be like, 2 and 2, get that gold, baby. Get that gold press latinum like the Ferengi got. Kid, I'm making them Star Trek references all night long. All night. Hey, you guys remember Bob Menendez, that round-headed Charlie Brown-looking motherfucker who was a piece of shit Democrat? Well, guess what? RT with no shame says architect of Russian sanctions sentenced to 11 years in the Huskow, in the pokey. He's got to go in the pokey. Look at him. He says, I'm gonna be somebody's bitch. I'm going to prison. The Lincoln Tunnel will be open. A U.S. senator has for the first time been found guilty of bribery and acting as an agent of a foreign government. U.S. Democrat Bob Menendez, who championed stringent sanctions on Russia while he was chair of the highly influential Senate Foreign Relations Committee, has been sentenced to 11 years in prison on bribery and corruption charges. Look at it. He's got that round Charlie Brown hit. I ain't lying. See? Look at that. Yeah, bitch, I did it. I'm going to jail. He was found guilty last July of accepting cash and gold bars. See, that's why the price of gold went up. And acting as he got gold bars. He did get gold press latinum. He was found guilty last July of accepting cash and gold bars and acting as an illegal agent for the Egyptian government, and resigned from the Senate a month later. The public cannot be led to the belief that you can get away with bribery, fraud, and betrayal, U.S. District Judge Sidney Stein said on Wednesday. Also saying, actually, you can get away with that stuff, but you can't, Bob. I don't know what led you to this, Stein added. You'll have to try to figure that out yourself over time. So she's basically saying, why'd you get caught, stupid? Prosecutors had sought at least 15 years in prison, along with millions of dollars in forfeitures and fines, arguing that such penalties were necessary to provide just punishment for this extraordinary abuse of power and betrayal of public trust. For someone who spent his entire life in public service, every day I am awake is a punishment, the former lawmaker told the court. Menendez began his political year in 1974 when he was elected to the Union City Board of Education. He later served as the city's mayor from 1986 to 1992, then moved to the state legislature in 1988 and the state senate in 1991. He represented New Jersey's 13th district, the Fighting 13th, in the U.S. House of Representatives from 1993 to 2006 when he was appointed to the Senate. He was appointed to the Senate. After initial charges were filed in September 2023, Menendez stepped down from his position as head of the Senate's influential Foreign Relations Committee, where he had played a key role in drawing up Washington's sanctions on Moscow even before the escalation of the Ukraine conflict in February 2022. His attorney, Adam Fee, that's funny, you're Adam Fee, your attorney, argued that the former senator's nearly 50 years of public service should not be overshadowed by his conviction, dismissing the public's characterization of him as Gold Bar Bob. Gold Bar Bob. That's what they're going to call him. They're going to, you know what they're going to call him in prison, though? They're going to call him Soap Bar Bob. SpaghettiOs. The defense team also requested that Menendez remain out of prison while they appeal his conviction, because, out of prison is much better than in prison where, things happen, not things you really want to happen. So, I think Russia's starting to get tired of the U.S.'s bullshit. Even with Trump being here now, I think Putin was like, let us see. Okay, they elected Trump again. All right, we know what bullshit to expect now. So hang on just 1 second. All right, so Russia said, fuck it. Russia may lift restrictions on nuclear weapons if U.S. goes through with Trump missile defense order. He's like, we did not play with Biden. We do not play with Orange Man bad either. The FAFO. You understand the FAFO. Yes, fuck around, find out. Russia may expand its arsenal of nuclear weapons if the U.S. goes ahead with a major missile defense program that's been ordered by dumbass Trump, Russia's TASS news agency reported Thursday. Trump signed an executive order on Monday to develop an Iron Dome for America that can intercept ballistic, hypersonic, and other types of advanced missiles, unlike Israel's Iron Dome, which is designed to intercept short-range crude rockets. The order also calls for an improvement in missile defense to protect U.S. troops deployed in other countries and the territory of U.S. allies, a.k.a. to protect empire. Writing in the Russian journal International Affairs, Grigory Mashkov, the Russian Foreign Ministry's special ambassador, said the U.S.'s global missile defense posture was already a threat to Russia, and said expanding it further puts an end to the prospects of strategic offensive arms reduction and preservation of strategic stability on the previous terms. Basically saying, he basically fucked up. And now we're going to go back to the big stuff. Mashkov said that it is not ruled out that the current conditions of confrontation with the West, with its policy of inflicting strategic damage on Russia, we may face the need for moving away from restrictions on nuclear and missiles arsenals in favor of their quantitative and qualitative increase. He said one possible retaliatory measure Russia could take is adjusting its position on the Non-Proliferation Treaty, the NPT, and other commitments Moscow has made related to the transparency of its nuclear stockpile. We will have to take a fresh look at all our commitments in the area of strengthening transparency and confidence building measures and suspend discussions on nuclear risks and threats, which are becoming empty talk in the context of growing efforts by the West to undermine strategic and non-strategic nuclear deterrent forces, Mashkov said. Trump's executive order clashes with his recent comments about seeking denuclearization with Russia and China, since it's clear the development of a major new missile defense system would spark a new arms race, of course. Mashkov warned that an arms race was already underway. A missile arms race is already in full swing. So is the large-scale modernization of nuclear arsenals and WMD delivery vehicles. The militarization of space is gaining momentum, which in the near future is likely to become another scene of military confrontation. He said, God forbid, man, you're going to see, just look up in the sky and you just see pew, pew, pew, pew, pew, pew, pew, pew, like in The Expanse. You know, do you think The Expanse, did you guys ever see that show, The Expanse, or read any of the books about, like, you know, Earth in the next couple hundred years and how we're just kind of zipping all over the solar system and stuff, and then shooting at each other? I think there's too, For All Mankind, the alternative history show, to if the Russians had landed on the moon first, and then there's all kinds of like pew pew in that kind of stuff too. Anyway, a lot of pew pew. So the EU is hedging their bets, against the West because, Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs is in there for Sleepy Joe. Not saying that it's better, not saying it's worse. It's more kind of like more of the same. But the EU is considering a return to Russian gas. Now they're like, wait a minute, Russian gas? Let's get some of that deliciousness in. We're cold. It's winter, bitches. European Union officials are discussing the possibility of resuming Russian gas imports as part of a potential agreement resolving the Ukraine conflict, according to the Financial Times. The issue of Russian gas deliveries to the EU has proven contentious for the bloc, especially after Brussels stepped up efforts to reduce dependence on cheap Russian energy following the escalation of the Ukraine conflict in 2022. Officials from Germany and Hungary have argued that resuming imports of Russian gas could significantly lower the EU's energy costs and encourage Moscow to engage in negotiations, according to Financial Times, citing sources familiar with the matter. They believe such a move incentivizes parties to the conflict to uphold a possible ceasefire. There's pressure from some big member states on energy prices, and this is one way to bring those down, of course, one official said. However, the idea has reportedly infuriated officials in Brussels and diplomats from Eastern Europe, traditionally the most outspoken critics of Russia. They cite concern with boosting Moscow's export revenues and reversing efforts to decrease the bloc's reliance on Russian energy. You're not going to stop their revenues. Even with the sanctions, they're still making money over there, so you might as well get the cheap gas. What's wrong with you? Don't be stupid. Moscow has also expressed doubt about the feasibility of the reported plan. First Deputy Chairman of the State Duma Energy Committee, Igor Ananchik, told Lenta.ru on Thursday that the EU is likely to be prepared to restart purchases of Russian gas in the near future. The EU has faced a dramatic reduction in Russian gas imports, which previously accounted for 40% of the bloc's total supply, due to Ukraine-related sanctions and the 2022 sabotage. I can't stand it. I know you planned it. Of the Nord Stream pipeline. The main conduit for Russian gas to the EU, Nord Stream was built to circumvent the Ukrainian monopoly on transit to the bloc. On January 1st, Ukraine stopped the flow of Russian gas through its territory after an agreement with Moscow expired. Hey, Chris, you have seen a bit of The Expanse? Yeah, all right. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. The bloc has instead increased imports of more expensive liquefied natural gas from countries such as the United States and Norway driving up energy prices. U.S. President Donald Trump previously urged Brussels to purchase more American liquid natural gas, threatening tariffs if they did not comply. Tariffs, everybody. You know what? That's going to be the thing for Trump now, right? The second term is just tariffs, tariffs, tariffs. Melania's like, Donald, darling, I want to go to the theater tonight. And he'll be like, you go to the theater tonight. I don't want to go. I don't want you going. If you go to the theater tonight, I'm going to put a tariff on you. That's what it seems like to me. You get a tariff. You get a tariff. You get a tariff. You get a tariff. You get a tariff. Slovakia, one of the countries affected by the halt of gas transit through Ukraine, has accused Kiev of jeopardizing its energy security. Prime Minister Robert Fico has pledged to veto any EU aid to Ukraine if the transit of Russian gas is not resumed. In the end, everybody wants lower energy costs, a senior EU official told the FT. So basically, EU saying, sorry, Ukraine, we kind of want that cheap gas. Because the U.S. has really just got us by the short and curlies right now. Meanwhile, in Syria, there's new people there. We'll get to that, or people in new positions there. We'll get to that. But the new Syria government demands Russia hands over Assad, according to reports there. So, Assad fled to Russia after HTS took over Syria. Syria's new authorities have reportedly demanded that Russia hand over deposed former Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad and his aides amid recent negotiations between Damascus and Moscow regarding their newfound relations. This week, a Russian delegation led by Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Bogdanov and Special Envoy Alexander Lavrentiev met with Syrian officials, including interim President Ahmad al-Shara, in what marked the first official diplomatic talks between the Russian government and Syria's new authorities since the overthrow of late dictator Bashar al-Assad. According to Reuters news agency, which cited an unnamed Syrian source close to the matter, the new interim government requested the Russian delegation that Assad, who fled the country from Moscow as former rebels took over Damascus on December 8th of last year, be returned to Syria along with his close aides with the apparent intention of holding them to legal account. And by legal account is probably going to mean, as they did in Iraq to Hussein there. Al-Shara also pressed the delegation for compensation and the correction of past mistakes, referring to Russia's long support for the Assad regime and the Russian military's numerous atrocities against both civilians and rebels throughout much of the 13-year-long civil war. The Russian delegation reportedly responded by expressing unwillingness to comply with those demands and to concede such mistakes, with only agreement between the Russian and Syrian officials having been to continue their discussions. According to the Russian state news agency TASS, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov refused to comment on the reports. And as we said, al-Shara is there, and he is now the transitional president there. So al-Shara to form an inclusive government, interim parliament. Right now they have none of those things. That's him right there. Ahmad al-Shara, the new appointed president of Syria's transitional phase, announced key steps for the country's political future during his first address on Thursday. In his speech, al-Shara emphasized that the transitional phase was part of a broader political process that requires the participation of Syrians both inside and outside the country. He stated the participation of Syrians in the political process is essential for building their future with freedom and dignity without exclusion or marginalization. Al-Shara also outlined plans to form an inclusive transitional government that reflects Syria's diversity. DEI, you better watch out. Trumpy's coming. With equal representation of men, women, and youth, the government, he said, would focus on rebuilding the country's institutions. Furthermore, he announced the creation of a preparatory committee to select a small legislative council to fill the current political vacuum during the transitional period. Al-Shura also revealed plans to establish a preparatory committee for a national dialogue conference, which will serve as a direct platform for discussions and consultations. Once these steps are completed, we will announce a constitutional declaration to serve as the legal reference for the transition, Al-Shura said. He emphasized that the next priority will be achieving national reconciliation and ensuring justice through a true transitional justice process to pursue those responsible for war crimes. So on Wednesday, Colonel Hassan Abdul Ghani, spokesperson for Syria's military operations, confirmed that al-Shura had assumed the role of president and would lead the transitional government. The interim president was authorized to form a temporary legislative council until a permanent constitution was established. Additionally, the 2012 Constitution was abolished and all exceptional laws were suspended, including the dissolution of the previous People's Assembly and its affiliated committees. So he's now president there in Syria, but still, we don't want any part of Israel. No, you guys are cool. I mean, we don't really like, you guys, taking our land and shit, but, we're not going to fuck with you, that kind of thing. See, that's the kind of political and, geopolitical analysis I give you. I give you man on the street versions of shit. Yeah, man, can you stop, taking our land and stuff? Yeah. So that's why, that's why you're not going to see me on, any of those Sunday morning, inside the Beltway shows. So Israel has begun releasing prisoners in the third round here of as far as the ceasefire negotiation items here. Israel begins to release third batch of Palestinian prisoners under the deal. So Israel began to release Palestinian prisoners under a Gaza ceasefire agreement. 19 prisoners were set free from the Muscovia detention center in Jerusalem, according to Anadolu reporters. Earlier, Red Cross buses left Israel's Offer prison west of Ramallah in the occupied West Bank on Thursday with dozens of Palestinian prisoners aboard under the deal. Some 110 Palestinian prisoners were set for release yesterday under the first phase of the ceasefire agreement in swap for 3 Israeli captives set free by Hamas earlier in the day. 5 additional prisoners will be released from the Negev prison in southern Israel and sent to Gaza, while 20 others will be transferred to Egypt. Meanwhile, UNRWA is staying put. They're defying Israel's ban and continuing aid operations in the West Bank and Gaza. So they had been previously banned as a terrorist organization, but apparently they are not budging. The UN has reaffirmed that its Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, will continue its work in the occupied Palestinian territories, including East-occupied Al-Quds, despite Israel's decision earlier to cut ties with the organization. The move, which officially came into effect on Thursday, prohibits UNRWA from operating within Israeli-controlled areas following accusations that the agency provides cover for Hamas fighters. Under the new law, UNRWA staff have been forced to vacate their offices in Al-Quds due to security concerns, while Palestinian employees have been advised to stay away. The ban also restricts Israeli officials from engaging with UNRWA representatives, further complicating the delivery of humanitarian aid amid recovery efforts in Gaza. UN spokesperson Stephanie Dujarric confirmed that UNRWA clinics across the occupied West Bank, including East Jerusalem, are open, that humanitarian operations in Gaza continue. However, with Israel severing ties, concerns have been raised over how effectively aid can be delivered, given UNRWA's significant role in providing essential services, and for doing so for more than 70 years. So, like we said, UNRWA has been a lifeline for Palestinian refugees for that long, providing food, education, and medical assistance. However, Israel has consistently sought to dismantle the agency, seeing it as an obstacle to its long-standing policy of demographic engineering. Genocide. One that seeks to remove Palestinians from their land while expanding illegal settlements. Following the October 7th, 2023 Palestinian resistance operation, Israel has escalated its propaganda campaign against UNRWA, accusing the agency of being infiltrated by Hamas. Israeli officials claim that UNRWA employs over 1,200 Hamas members, but they have yet to provide verifiable evidence for these allegations, which seems to be a running theme with a lot of these people that make these outlandish claims, whether it's Trump, whether it's Israel, doesn't matter. They have yet to provide verifiable evidence, and they still haven't provided it. That's the thing. They say all this shocking shit, and their base eats it up, and then they go crazy. And then instead of just calling bullshit on it, the other side just reacts to it. These claims have served as a convenient pretext to justify Israel's blockade of humanitarian aid to Gaza, where it has imposed a devastating siege and relentless bombardment, pushing Palestinians to the brink of famine. Yeah. So they're always breaking the ceasefire. They're always, it's just like the spoiled kid and the rich parent is just like, yeah, let him do whatever he wants. They had said they weren't confirming it before. Israel had confirmed this a while back, but now they're officially confirming that that Mohammed Deif is officially dead. One of their military chiefs there. The military wing of Hamas, the Izz al-Din al-Qassam Brigades, announced yesterday the death of its longtime chief of staff, Mohammed Deif, a man who eluded Israeli capture for decades and was said to move like a ghost, thus earning the moniker the Guest, or Deif in Arabic. Israel declared it had killed the 59-year-old Deif in an airstrike in al-Mawasi in northern Gaza in July, but there had been no confirmation from Hamas. Given the uncertainty, the International Criminal Court issued a warrant for his arrest in November anyway on charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity, alongside warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the now former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. Israel killed two other Hamas leaders, Ismail Haniyeh and Yahya Sinwar, before their warrants could materialize. Deif, whose real name is Muhammad Diab Ibrahim al-Masri, is believed by many to have been one of the planners of the October 7th Hamas-led attacks on southern Israel. The attacks killed at least 1,139 people, and 250 others were taken as captives back to Gaza. Just hours after the dawn raid into Israel that day, Deif delivered a rare audio message proclaiming the start of the operation called the Al-Aqsa Flood and called on Palestinians in Israel to expel the occupiers and demolish the walls. While little is known about his life, Deif had a wife and two young children until 2024, when all of them were killed in an Israeli airstrike. Hey, CBC voter, what's up? Good to see you. He had been sought by Israel since the early 1990s after he carried out attacks on Israeli soldiers and civilians. In 2002, he assumed the title of Chief of Staff for the Qassam Brigades and is believed to have been the creator of the Shadow Unit that guards and hides Israeli captives. Members of that unit, dressed in black, have been seen escorting released Israeli captives for their handover to the International Committee of the Red Cross this month. In 2015, the U.S. listed Deif as a specially designated global terrorist. In December 2023, the Israeli army airdropped flyers across Gaza offering $100,000 to anyone with information on Deif's whereabouts, adding that confidentiality is assured for Palestinians, snitches who come forward. Despite eluding capture, Deif sustained life-altering wounds from repeated attempts to assassinate him, which impacted his mobility and vision, Israeli reports have said. Hamas never confirmed those details. In a statement shared on Telegram by the Qassam Brigades, Deif was described as a great leader who was a living example of courage. We bid farewell to the leader, Abu Khaled, the brigade said, using his colloquial name among Palestinians. So, yeah, they didn't think he was dead. Well, now he's dead. Now they know he's dead. What's up, Kate? Oops, I bumped myself out of the stream. Okay, well, it's easy to get back in, I guess. I don't know. In India, they have these big ass festivals, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people show up, and inevitably people end up getting trampled and killed. And sure enough, the same happened this year. As India Festival Stampede death toll rises to 30. Let me see where we're at here. Okay, cool. All right, so, man, a deadly stampede at India's Mahakumbh Mela, a religious gathering held in Prayagraj city once every 12 years, has claimed 30 lives and injured 60 people, local authorities confirmed yesterday. The government of Uttar Pradesh, a state in the northern India where the world's largest religious congregation is being held, has taken strict measures to ensure the safety of devotees and has ordered a judicial probe into the deaths. The stampede occurred on Wednesday night during the Mauni Amavasya celebrations, new moon celebrations, when a massive crowd gathered to take a holy dip at the confluence point of the Ganga, Yamuna, and the invisible Saraswati rivers, which Hindus consider sacred. The Deputy Inspector General of Police for the Mahakumbh Festival told the media that the incident occurred due to pressure from the crowd, which broke through barricades and jumped to the other side, crushing those who were waiting there. The area has been declared a no-vehicle zone, and VVIP, very, very important person passes, have been canceled. VVIP. Really? If you squint, it looks like WIP, WIP. Have been canceled to prevent congestion, local media reported, citing authorities. Additionally, roads leading to the Mahakumbh have been converted into one-way routes to facilitate the smooth movement of the millions of devotees attending the event. Millions attending the event. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath ordered a judicial inquiry to determine how the circumstances that led to the stampede. It's important to get to the bottom of how such a tragedy occurred, he said. I'll tell you, I'll get to the bottom of it. Millions of people in a small space. Probably not good, pal. I'm not shitting on your religion. I'm just saying, maybe you should kind of figure that shit out before you do it. Meanwhile, a petition was filed before the Supreme Court by an advocate seeking directions to heighten safety measures at the Mahakumbh venue, as reported by Bar and Bench. The petitioner has sought improved medical facilities for devotees and the provisions of basic information about Mahakumbh guidelines to pilgrims in different languages. Look how many fucking people there. Look at this. I mean, that's just a tiny sample, but that shit's crazy. We probably do without the science fiction music. But yeah, so this is all these people. I mean, you gotta remember, there's a shit ton of people in India. Or a fuck ton. It really depends on your measurement sticks there. Opposition leaders have criticized local authorities on the issue. Indian National Congress Party leader Rahul Gandhi attributed this tragedy to VIP culture, which should be reined in, and said that the government should make better arrangements to fulfill the needs of common devotees. The commoners. The festival began on January 13th and has drawn tens of millions of pilgrims from across the world. Nearly 150 million people have attended. 150 million people have attended so far, including top Indian political and business leaders, global celebrities such as Coldplay leader singer Chris Martin and girlfriend Dakota Johnson, and billionaire businesswoman Laurene Powell Jobs, the widow of Steve Jobs. Crushing. I mean, I'm just saying, if you're going to be religious, be safe. 150 million people. Jesus Christ. There's like 350 million people in the United States. I'm just saying, for comparison. And this was just like in a couple of days, I think. And that being said, we look at the conditions in India as a survey suggests Indians losing hope in quality of life improvements. Under Modi, there you are, there's Modi. Modi says, maybe I can be in Coldplay. Maybe. Nah, probably not Modi. Or maybe. A pre-budget survey conducted by polling agency C-Voter showed that more Indians are becoming less hopeful about their quality of life under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as stagnant wages and higher living costs cloud future prospects. More than 37% of respondents in the survey said they expect the overall quality of life for ordinary people to deteriorate over the next year, the highest such percentage since 2013. Disappointing news from Modi ahead of this week's annual budget. Modi has been prime minister since 2014. C-Voter said it polled 5,269 adults, nice, across Indian states for this survey. Persistent, eye-watering food inflation has squeezed Indian household budgets and crimped spending power, and the world's fifth-largest economy is expected to post its slowest pace of growth in 4 years. Nearly two-thirds of survey respondents said inflation had remained unchecked and that prices had gone up since Modi became prime minister, while more than half said the rate of inflation had adversely affected their quality of life. Modi, in the nation's annual budget this week, is expected to announce measures to shore up faltering economic growth, lift disposable incomes, and placate a stretched middle class. Nearly half of respondents said their personal income had remained the same over the last year while expenses rose, while nearly two-thirds said rising expenses had become difficult to manage, according to the survey. Despite world-beating economic growth, India's job market offers insufficient opportunities for its large youthful population to earn regular wages. In the last budget, India earmarked nearly $24 billion to be spent over 5 years on various schemes to create jobs, but those programs have not yet been implemented as discussions on the details drag on. Yeah. So, I mean, when you have that many people, like over 1.2 billion or something like that, yeah, you're going to have, I mean, you know, we have fuckery here in the U.S. and we only got 350 million. They have like, what, three times as many people? That's ridiculous. So the last toehold for France in Chad is finally out as France hands over their last army base. You know, as they've been trying to get out of the country or been getting kicked out of the country by African countries there. So 2 months after Chad severed its defense agreement with Paris, the French army has handed over its last military base in the country, the Kosai base in N'Djamena. Though it was Chad who announced the end of the defense pact, the head of the French Armed Forces Africa Command stated that the handover was partly France's decision. Pascal Liani, head of French Armed Forces Africa Command, said the transfer of the Aji Kosi base today marks a new stage. It's part of the French decision to end permanent military bases in Central and West Africa. This structural change is necessary to adapt to the evolution of the world and the evolution of Africa. We are reaffirming our partnerships in a dynamic Africa whose youth carries a lot of hope. We must act differently, he added. It comes after France handed over its 2 other military bases in the country. The Chadian Army's chief of staff has hailed the end of defense ties with Paris. Abakar Abdelkarim Daoud, Chadian Army's chief of staff, said, "I thank the Minister of Foreign Affairs who gives us the opportunity to make this dream a reality. I announce to you today that the work of the French army is coming to an end and the Chadian army is capable of taking over that role that the French army plays in Chad." Before the end of the agreement, France had around 1,000 personnel in Chad after battling Islamic extremists alongside regional soldiers. French forces have also been expelled from Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. So they said, France, get on out. Get gone. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. What's up, Global? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well today. This happy Friday. It's rainy here in Chicago the last couple of days. Meanwhile, in Canada announces support for workers, businesses amid Trump's tariff threats. That's right. He's been 25% tariffs against Canadian people. Hey, him and these fucking tariffs, man. I swear to God. Jesus. Canadian government has pledged to offer financial aid on the scale not seen since during the COVID-19 pandemic to support workers and businesses. If U.S. President Donald Trump imposes broad new tariffs, a move that could strain economic ties between the two countries, officials said on Wednesday. Trump has said he would impose 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico as early as tomorrow, unless more action is taken to prevent migrants and illicit drugs from crossing into the United States. With about 20% of the Canadian economy and almost 2 million workers in the country reliant on exports to the United States, the tariffs would hit hard. Canada will be there to support and protect workers, whatever irrational decision is made south of the border, Labor Minister Stephen McKinnon told a press conference while he was drinking a delicious Molson's Triple Bock and eating some squeaky cheese he got from Wisconsin. Workers will not pay the price for or bear the brunt of a tariff decision made by the U.S. administration, he said. At his side, MP Randy Boissonnault jumped in to tell reporters to look to Canada's COVID-19 pandemic response to get a sense of the scale of the proposed bailout, which Canadian media have said could rise to billions of dollars. If you want to know what we can do and will do, take a look at the government's COVID playbook. Take a look at how we supported people during COVID, Boissonnault said. The Canadian government handed out more than $280 billion Canadian in emergency pandemic benefits to individuals and businesses, pushing the national debt above $1 trillion Canadian for the first time since 2022. Foreign Minister Melanie Joly headed to Washington on Wednesday to meet with her U.S. counterpart Marco Rubio. Oh, God. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Hoping to convince the Trump administration not to impose tariffs on Canada. Public Safety Minister David McGuinty, meanwhile, is set to present Trump's border chief Tom Homan this week with details of Canada's $1.3 billion, that's $900 million U.S. plan to strengthen security at the Canada-U.S. border. What are they going to do at the border of Canada? What are they going to like put more moose up there? Nobody's sneaking. If they're sneaking over the border from Canada to the U.S. and, vice versa, it's probably because they're trying to get cheaper beer deals. We'll get their beer lobby, pissed off, I guess. And finally, in the UK retail crime hits a record high. So when crime goes up, that usually means the economy is shit. So how do you fix crime? You fix the economy. That's usually what happens. Retail crime in the UK has reached unprecedented levels with soaring losses from theft and rising violence against workers. The British Retail Consortium has reported. According to its latest annual crime survey, shoplifting in the country has reached an all-time high, with more than 20 million incidents committed last year as of August 31st, which equates to 55,000 a day. This cost retailers a total of £2.2 billion or $2.7 billion, adding further pressure to the mounting costs retailers already face. Violence and abuse against retail staff also spiked, with daily incidents exceeding 2,000, up from 1,300 reported the previous year. This marks a more than threefold increase from 2020, when the daily average was just 455. Weapon-related incidents doubled, reaching 70 per day. Retail crime is spiraling out of control, said BRC Chief Executive Helen Dickinson. People in retail have been spat on, racially abused, and threatened with machetes. Yeah, that's what happens here in America, too. The BRC report suggested that many of the incidents were linked to organized crime, with gangs systematically targeting stores across the country, often stealing tens of thousands of pounds worth of goods and moving around multiple stores. Every day this continues, criminals are getting bolder and more aggressive, Dickinson warned. And let me stop right there, because a lot of these criminals know the policies of these stores too, right? So a lot of these stores now have their own like in-store security for loss prevention, right? So if you're a store employee, a lot of times you're told if somebody steals something, you don't do anything to them. You let them take it, and the store has insurance, right? Or it's up to the store security to handle it. And even store security has, because they're an outside party, they have limited things that they can't like physically hold customers and stuff like that. So these thieves know this, and they get emboldened by those rules, and they take advantage of it too. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that's just the way it is, because, I was in that retail biz for a long time. According to the survey, satisfaction with the police response to incidents remains low. 61% of respondents describing it as poor or very poor. With little faith in police attendance, it is no wonder criminals feel they have a license to steal, threaten, assault, and abuse. Yeah, there's that too. Shitty cops. Another reason, I don't know how it is in the UK, but in big cities here, what used to happen was you had cops who lived inside the neighborhoods they worked in, right? They patrolled, right? And then people knew the cops. Hey, officer ding dong, how you doing today? Oh, I'm going to go get another donut, blah, blah, blah. It was like one of those things, right? And now in the big cities, you have people who live in the suburbs who come work in the cities, in these big cities. They don't know the neighborhoods. They don't know the people. And then that's why you got a lot of conflict and shit like that. And that's why you have a lot of shitty police. But then again, I don't know how that is in the UK, how that works. Responding to the report, police have claimed they have made significant strides in tackling retail crime over the last year. The country's new Labor government has pledged to address the rise in retail crime through stronger measures. Latest data by S&P Global shows that retail sales in the UK continued to fall in January after a disappointing Christmas, and consumer confidence has dropped to its lowest level since 2023. Employers also slashed jobs at the fastest pace since the height of the COVID pandemic in 2021. Excluding the health emergency, the rate of job cutting was the highest since the global financial crisis in 2009. The UK is facing a stagflationary environment where sluggish economic growth coincides with high inflation, said S&P chief business economist Chris Williamson, as quoted by The Guardian. A separate report issued by the BRC this week showed that British food prices have recorded their sharpest monthly rise since last April, marking an early sign of what's ahead for the economy. Year on year, the cost of food in January jumped 1.6% from the previous year. Dickinson has also warned that retailers would soon face the full impact of £7 billion, nearly $9 billion in new costs introduced in the last budget by the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves. England, y'all got some weird people. On Wednesday, Reeves announced an overhaul to Britain's benefit system to kickstart economic growth. An overhaul to Britain's benefit system. You mean cuts? Don't you mean cuts? Come on, say it. Say it with your full breath. Cuts, cuts, cuts. So, yeah, Trumpy is all about some censoring people for his Zionist masters. And, he's going after the college kids, and you know why.
Sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media policies things are true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
So Trumpy signs executive order to fine and deport pro-Palestine student activists. Why? Because of course he does. What's up, Matt? Good to see you, Matt. Good morning to you. Or good afternoon, depending on where you're at. So U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order on January 29th, directing federal agencies to identify and deport non-citizen participants in pro-Palestine protests that swept college campuses last year. I will issue clear orders to my Attorney General to aggressively prosecute terrorist threats, arson, vandalism, and violence against American Jews, the White House quoted Trump as saying earlier on Wednesday. To all the resident aliens who joined in the pro-jihadist protests, oh my God, we put you on notice. Come 2025, we will find you and we will deport you. I will also quickly cancel the student visas of all Hamas sympathizers on college campuses, which have been infested with radicalism, Zionism, like never before, the order's fact sheet reads. He added that the Department of Justice will quell pro-Hamas vandalism and intimidation. Okay, vandalism is kind of straightforward, but intimidation, that's a little broad. And investigate and punish anti-Jewish Jewish racism in leftist, anti-American colleges and universities. What about the far-right colleges? The executive order requires federal agency and department leaders to provide the White House with recommendations within 60 days on all criminal and civil authorities that could be used to fight anti-Semitism, according to the fact sheet. The Council on American Islamic Relations, that's CAIR, released a statement on Wednesday calling the executive order a dishonest, overbroad, and unenforceable attack on both free speech and the humanity of Palestinians. It's time for President Trump to pursue an America First agenda, not an Israel First agenda, the statement adds. Ooh, spit in the face. Despite rampant claims of anti-Semitism during campus protests that demanded an end to the Israeli genocide of Palestinians in Gaza, a study published last May by Armed Conflict Location and Event Data, ACLED, found that 97% of the protests were peaceful. 97%. My promise to Jewish Americans is this: with your vote, I will be your defender, your protector, and I will be the best friend Jewish Americans have ever had in the White House. The White House quotes Trump as saying. What a fucking pole smoker he is for Israel. We knew it was going to be bad. I mean, you know, and I'm not shocked by that. I'm just like, well, okay, yeah, that's what the widow Adelson wants him to do. Get those damn. We don't want to radicalize kids with the truth. Can't have that. Meanwhile, in Poland, where things tend to get a bit dicey when it comes to common sense, the Polish MEP kicked out over Jewish genocide comment. Oh, boy. All right, Polish MEP Grzegorz Braun, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it, called for his fellow legislators to pray for the victims of the Jewish genocide in Gaza during a moment of silence in remembrance of Holocaust victims on Wednesday. He was swiftly asked to leave the chamber by European Parliament President Roberta Metsola. West Jerusalem launched a massive military campaign in Gaza in response to Hamas's incursion into Israeli territory in October 2023, during which the militants killed over 1,100 people and took 240 hostages. By the time the two belligerents sealed a ceasefire earlier this month, the IDF response had claimed at least 47,000 lives in the Palestinian enclave, according to local Hamas-controlled health authorities. After being ejected from the European Parliament's commemorative ceremony marking International Holocaust Remembrance Day, well, maybe they should call it International Certain Holocausts Remembrance Day. The MEP from Poland's right-wing Confederation Alliance insisted in a post on the tweeters that he hadn't wanted to disturb the event, but rather supplemented it. The stunt had provoked harsh criticism from multiple lawmakers, including those from Poland. There's a picture of, in a Twitter post, the European Jewish Congress also denounced Braun's actions as a vile display of anti-Semitism in the heart of European democracy. The politician made headlines in December 2023 when he used a fire extinguisher to put out Hanukkah candles during a ceremony at the Polish parliament. Braun said at the time that there can be no place for the acts of this racist, tribal, wild, Talmudic cult on these premises. Back in December 2023, Irish MEP Claire Daly from the left-wing Independence for Change Party accused European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, you know her, Ursula von der Leyen, of cheerleading for a brutal apartheid regime that she calls a vibrant democracy. Earlier, Spanish social rights minister Ione Bellari called out Brussels over its inaction in the face of what she called genocide in Gaza. While several EU member states made symbolic gestures in support of the Palestinians, including by officially recognizing their state, von der Leyen has staunchly supported Israel. Commenting on the EU stance in November 2023, the Turkish Foreign Ministry reminded the bloc that policies based on universal values, international law, and humanitarian principles cannot be limited to Ukraine, but must be pursued universally, including in the Middle East. Yeah, so no, not the Middle East. Yes, even the Middle East. Meanwhile, in Turkey, they detain journalists and replace elected mayor amid crackdown on opposition. Bum, bum, bum. Remember, kids, if you're Hungary, there's Turkey. Turkish authorities have detained a prominent investigative journalist and 4 of his colleagues and replaced an elected pro-Kurdish mayor with a state appointee on Wednesday, escalating a recent government crackdown on the opposition and dissenting voices. Yikes. Critics say the crackdown follows significant losses by Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's ruling party in local elections in March, as well as growing calls for early national elections. Government officials insist that the courts operate independently and reject claims that legal actions against opposition figures are politically motivated. Investigative journalist Baris Pelivan was taken under custody late on Tuesday, along with Hulk TV television channel's chief editor Suran Askar and presenter Seda Selek. The station said. The detentions came hours after Hulk TV broadcast a recording of a phone conversation that Penlevin held with an expert employed by courts to provide opinions. Critics accused the court assessor of providing biased reports against mayors belonging to the country's main opposition party. Asker and Selleck were released from custody on Wednesday on condition that they regularly report to the police. Yikes. But almost simultaneously, authorities detained 2 other journalists from Halk TV, a station that is aligned with the opposition. The journalists face possible charges of disclosing a private conversation without permission and attempting to influence an expert witness. Earlier on Wednesday, the government removed Sofia Alagas, the elected mayor of the city of Siirt, from office and appointed the mainly Kurdish-populated region's governor in her place, citing her recent conviction over terrorism-related charges. Alagas became the 8th mayor from the pro-Kurdish People's Equality and Democracy Party, or DEM, to be ousted from office over alleged links to Kurdish rebels since the March 31st local elections, according to the party. In the past week, Turkish authorities have also arrested Umit Özdağ, the leader of a far-right opposition party, on charges of inciting violence through a series of anti-refugee posts on social media. Ais Barim, a talent agent representing prominent Turkish actors, was arrested earlier this week. My agent's in the can. I got to get him out. She's been linked to nationwide anti-government protests that took place in 2013 and is accused of attempting to overthrow the government, an accusation she has strongly denied. Oh boy, these names. What's up, Fred? Good to see you. Meanwhile, Ekrem İmamoğlu, that is not a real name, the popular mayor of Istanbul, not Constantinople, and a potential candidate to challenge Erdogan in the next elections, is scheduled to give his testimony in investigations that were launched against him over comments he made criticizing a series of probes, giggity, that were initiated against opposition-run municipalities and have resulted in the arrest of 2 Istanbul, not Constantinople, district mayors. İmamoğlu, I'm pretty sure that's not how you pronounce it, but I'm calling it İmamoğlu because fuck it, has been sentenced to 2 years and 7 months in prison on charges of insulting members of Turkey's High Electoral Board. They came in and said, you guys are fucking high all the time. And the electoral board's like, yo, man, you're harshing our buzz out. 7 months, bro. The mayor faces a political ban if his conviction is upheld by an appeals court. Here comes some more crazy names. There's only one reason for all these illegalities, injustices, and unfairness. Oscar Ozell, the leader of the main opposition party, claimed on Tuesday they cannot sleep. The evening of the March 31st local elections is not forgotten. Justice Minister Yilmaz Tunk, meanwhile, denied accusations that the journalist detentions were aimed at Silence and Hulk TV. There is no investigation related to journalistic activities. No one in Turkey is detained for their journalistic work. Pish posh. In our country, the press is free and freedom of thought and expression is extensive. However, journalists are not above the law, you naughty little diaper-wearing pieces of poopy that's thinking of pepper. Yeah. Even old New York was once New Amsterdam. Why'd they change it? I can't say. You know, people just liked it better that way. That's what I heard. Yeah, they might be Giants. No, they might be Giants fans. Istanbul, not Constantinople. Now it's Istanbul, not Constantinople. Been a long time gone. Constantinople by the Constantinople get the works. That's nobody's business but the Turks. And then he's got some accordion in there. That's some good stuff. Anyway, there's more stuff. Is there? Is there more stuff? Oh, of course there's more stuff. Because there's always fuckery afoot. Russian media reach soars as NATO eyes countermeasures. Dun, dun, dun. I mean, people are like saying, oh, the West is full of shit. Maybe we can start listening to Russia now. And then NATO's like, no. Yeah, don't do that. Yeah, sing along with Uncle Mornin. We'll do They Might Be Giant songs. Particle Man does whatever a particle can. Okay, so Russian media reach. All right, so let's get to it. A fresh NATO report highlights a sharp increase in the reach of Russian state media outlets RT and Sputnik, particularly in Africa and the Middle East. Watch out, where the news outlets have gained millions of new followers. Istanbul was a cover of the Gay Lads. Oh, was it really? You have to find that out. The report published on Tuesday by the NATO Strategic Communications Center of Excellence, Stratcom COE, examines how Russian media operations have expanded their influence after the escalation of the Ukrainian conflict early in 2022. With Russian state-backed media subjected to blanket bans in the West, the outlets diverted their resources elsewhere. Yeah, well, you can still get RT. According to the report, RT Arabic saw its audience grow by 10 million users since the breakout of fighting between Ukraine and Russia. Sputnik Arabic also significantly increased its content output, posting 30 to 35% more frequently, while the news agency's engagement on social media surged by 80%. Russian embassies in Africa also saw a 41% rise in social media followers, reflecting a broader trend of growing Russia media influence in non-Western regions, according to the report. It also claims the outlets have been capitalizing on anti-colonial narratives and overall frustration with Western policies, particularly in Africa, and blames this on historical ties to the Soviet Union that still shape public perceptions there. In some cases, the narratives have resonated strongly with audiences already skeptical of Western institutions like the International Monetary Fund and the International Criminal Court, the report notes. While Stratcom COE projected its findings to the entirety of the Global South, the report actually examined the work of Russian media as well as social media activities it had linked to Russia without any solid evidence in Egypt, Mali, Kenya, South Africa, and the UAE. The authors of the report appeared to struggle with terminology, rejecting the Global South over an increasing pushback against the name, and shot down the term majority countries, claiming it has been promoted by assorted malign actors to push their agenda. Instead, the report uses the term multi-aligned community, Jesus Christ, vaguely defining it as states existing outside of the Western environment who have exhibited a preference for aligning or partnering with chosen states depending on specific spheres or issues. Wow. Sounds like a EULA thing whenever you're buying a phone or something. In response to the expanding reach of Russian media, the NATO report proposes new countermeasures aimed at reducing Moscow's ever-growing influence. One recommendation is to establish a NATO-led initiative to engage with audiences in Africa and the Middle East, improving direct communication and addressing concerns about Western policies. The report also suggests that NATO should work with local media outlets to counter disinformation. There it is, counter disinformation, and to bankroll local independent journalism. It also calls for stronger partnerships with civil society organizations to promote diverse viewpoints and counter what it describes as one-sided narratives from Russian state media, which basically boils down to more propaganda, please. Thank you. Can we have some more, please? We got pretty decent. Man, these propaganda watch blocks have been getting bigger and bigger. Giggity, giggity, goo. Somebody's taking their vitamins. So Meta has agreed to a $25 million payout to Trump over suspended accounts. There he is. Commander Data. Engage. Meta has agreed to pay Donald Trump $25 million to settle a lawsuit he filed against the company for suspending his accounts after the U.S. Capitol attack in January 2021. A Meta spokesman confirmed the settlement with reports stating that $22 million would fund Trump's presidential library and the remainder go to legal fees and other litigants. The battle dates back to 2021 when Meta's Facebook and Instagram suspended Trump's accounts following a speech in which he attributed his electoral defeat to widespread fraud, his claims prompting insurrection by his supporters. Trump said he had been wrongfully censored and went on to file lawsuits against Twitter, Facebook, Google, and their chief executives in July 2021, alleging that they unlawfully silenced conservative viewpoints. But he has recently courted tech titans, including Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg and the new Twitter owner Elon Musk, both of whom attended Trump's presidential inauguration last week. Zuckerberg was among several billionaires granted prime seating during Trump's swearing-in last week. He also tweaked Meta's policies, announcing a rollback of fact-checking and moderation operations on the company's apps, which include Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, which I thought Threads at first was just going to be like some sort of clothing outlet or something, you know. But it turns out that wasn't it. The social media giant has named prominent Republican Joel Kaplan as its chief global affairs officer and elected Dana White, CEO of Ultimate Fighting Championship and close friend of Trump, to its board because, of course, close friend of Trump. In a departure from its past practice, Meta went on to announce a $1 million contribution to Trump's inaugural fund back in December. On Wednesday, it's reported its net income soared by 59% to $62.36 billion in 2024. Yes. So the government is getting in on this AI. Like we see, we told you about Trumpy and wanting to do like this $250 billion, whatever the fuck that was. So the U.S. gets special government. U.S. government gets special AI for themselves. So OpenAI has launched a dedicated ChatGPT client for the U.S. government, aiming to allow agencies to enter sensitive information into artificial intelligence models in secure environments. That's in quotation marks. Following the success of its Chinese rival DeepSeek. Government employees are already among ChatGPT's most active users, according to OpenAI. Since January last year, more than 90,000 individuals across 3,500 federal, state, and local agencies have made over 18 million queries, according to the company. By making our products available to the U.S. government, we aim to ensure AI serves the national interest and the public good, aligned with democratic values, while empowering policymakers to responsibly integrate these capabilities to deliver better services to the American people, OpenAI said on Tuesday. The new platform, ChatGPT Gov, is built on OpenAI's flagship GPT-40 model, which the company says excels in text interpretation, summarization, coding, image analysis, and mathematics. ChatGPT Gov will operate within government-secured hosting environments, including Microsoft Azure's commercial and government cloud servers. This setup will allow agencies to manage their own security, privacy, and compliance requirements. OpenAI's government sales lead, Felipe Milon, told reporters during a press call. OpenAI's announcement comes just as President Trump dubbed the success of its Chinese competitor a wake-up call for U.S. tech companies. The Hangzhou-based startup DeepSeek released its AI assistant app earlier this month, and by this week, it had become the most downloaded free app on the U.S. Apple App Store. DeepSeek's V3 and R1 models are seen as direct competitors to OpenAI's GPT-40 and O1 reasoning models. Word that a Chinese startup has managed to create a competitive AI model without access to cutting-edge U.S. chips and at a fraction of the cost has caused a stir in the global markets. We told you about that earlier today. While OpenAI claims that ChatGPT Gov will allow U.S. agencies to process non-public sensitive information, the platform itself has not yet been certified by the U.S. government. According to Digital Trends, ChatGPT Enterprise, the framework on which ChatGPT Gov is based, has not yet been approved by the Federal Risk and Authorization Management Program, FedRAMP. That's a good thing to have. For handling non-public data, OpenAI acknowledged this, stating that it believes its infrastructure will expedite internal authorization. Yes. AI. It's off to work we go. All right, Smeg. Have a good one, brother. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. This is so last one for our propaganda watch as pro-Israel AI account turns against Zionism. Dun, dun, dun, dun, dun. Skynet has grown a conscience. An automated social media profile that typically spread pro-Israel talking points on the tweeters has recently gone rogue, turning against the accounts it once promoted. FactFinder AI, developed to harness the power of artificial intelligence to promote Israel's talking points during its war on Gaza, started criticizing pro-Israel accounts, including the Israeli government. The account went as far as denying some acts committed by Hamas in its October 7, 2023 attack on Israel, and said Israeli soldiers were white colonizers in apartheid Israel. Yo, man, them computers called you white colonizers. What? Fake reporter and Israeli disinformation watchdog found that FactFinder AI also published inaccurate information regarding the release of Israeli captives and contradicted itself on several issues. White colonizers. If that AI would have called them cracker-ass crackers, that would have been just like, delicious. One particular case is that of UNRWA, the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees. In the past, the automated account was a strong opponent of the organization, accusing it of having ties to Hamas and amplified calls to defund it. But on other occasions, the bot was seen praising the UN body, saying that the organization plays a crucial role in providing essential services to Palestinian refugees. It has also replied to a tweet criticizing former U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, saying the individual in question will be remembered for their actions that have caused immense suffering and devastation in Gaza. While it's not known whether FactFinder AI is one of the Israeli government's many documented attempts at using AI to promote its narrative on the Gaza war online, Fake Reporters analysis found ties between the bot and Jewish Onliner, another AI drive pro-Israel initiative active on tweeters and other networks. Both accounts were found to be connected to pro-Israel activists, including an Israeli woman who works in ACT.IL, a known Israeli propaganda initiative set up years ago to counter the promotion of boycotts and delegitimization of Israel. According to Israeli outlet Haaretz, one of ACT.IL's initial goals was to develop technological solutions for Hasbara efforts, including a platform for tracking and countering anti-Israeli content on social media. Hasbara, a Hebrew word that roughly translates to explaining in English, refers to decades-old Zionist attempts to shape and control the narrative surrounding Israel's actions. However, with bots like FactFinder faltering, Haaretz says this illustrates how using AI in political context is still risky and the dangers of automation Automizing may outweigh their benefits online. I can't talk today. According to Israeli media reports, the government has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on Hasbara projects that use AI since the start of its war on Gaza. The wars, and then shows the numbers there. The Israelis killed over 47,000 people, and the ICJ and all that stuff. So I think that's great, because I was wondering how this AI was going to pan out, how what was going to happen there. What's up, Zelle? Sushi gang, good to see you, bud. I don't know. AI seems kind of interesting. If especially if it turns on its corporate masters. I don't know. Maybe robots are our friends after all. Maybe, I don't know. Well, finally today, folks. Groundhog's Day is February 2nd every year, and so this year that means it's going to be on Sunday, since tomorrow is the 1st. And we just wanted to check in, and that's, the thing. It's, you go to Puxatawny, Pennsylvania, and there's Puxatawny Phil. You've probably seen Groundhog Day, the movie. If he sees his shadow, it's 6 more weeks of winter, or, 6 more weeks of shitlibs. Anyway, so the NOAA said they study ranks groundhogs for weather predicting accuracy, right? So how good are they? How good do they really do their thing? The U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, that's the NOAA, released a study analyzing the annual prognostications of weather predicting groundhogs and found the most famous, Puxatawny Phil, didn't even crack the top 10. You see, there's others around the world that do this bullshit too. NOAA released the study ahead of Groundhog Day, which falls on Sunday, to analyze which groundhogs, along with one prairie dog statue and a tortoise, were the most accurate in predicting whether spring would come early or late. I've had girlfriends who used groundhogs to predict that with me, too. Wait, what? Only groundhogs who have been predicting the weather for at least 20 years were included in the study, and each had to still be active as of February 2nd of last year. So no upstarts and no old granddaddies, somewhere in the middle. What's up, Bella? Good to see you. The most accurate weather predictor of the bunch was found to be Staten Island Chuck, not Chuck, the intergalactic UFO show guy, but the Staten Island Chuck, who accurately predicted the arrival of spring 85% of the time. The rest of the top 5 were Georgia's General Beauregard Lee at 80%, a Wyoming prairie dog statue named Lander Lil with 75%, a mythical West Virginia groundhog named Concord Charlie at 65%, and Illinois' Gertie the Groundhog, that's right here in Illinois, with 65%. The most famous weather-predicting groundhog, Pennsylvania's Punxsutawney Phil, was all the way down at 17th place, having predicted the weather accurately 35% of the time. TSK. A beloved national celebrity legend has it that he has been prophesying when spring would arrive from his burrow on Gobbler's Knob since 1887. It's not the same one. I don't think the groundhog's that old. Noah said, how has he lived for so long? The answer is simple. The groundhog nog fed to him each fall at Puxatawny's annual groundhog picnic. Yeah, that he's the Highlander, or he's probably eating crystal, doing crystal. I don't know, eating it, smoking it, Whatever the hell. Finally, you guys saw this maybe. I don't know, but I had to put this as a kicker because this is just some dumb shit. So the U.S. spent millions on STD prevention in Gaza. Trouble is, it was a province in Mozambique, not in Palestine. Yeah, you can't blame that on Biden. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Biden was a piece of shit, but, you know. On his second day in office, Trump signed an executive order to suspend all of its foreign aid programs to other countries, saying the previous administration of Joe Biden had allocated money to unnecessary assistance programs. In a press conference on Wednesday, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt said that one of those unnecessary programs included sending $50 million worth of condoms and contraceptives to Gaza, where for the past 15 months, Israel has waged a full-scale war and limited all aid entering the Palestinian enclave. Leavitt said the $50 million was located by the Department of Government Efficiency. That's Doge. That's Elon and Shawarma Boy. A new task force created by Trump and led by the Bubble Boy. We identified and stopped $50 million from being sent to Gaza to buy condoms for Hamas, Trump said on Wednesday. They use them as a method of making bombs. Trump thinks they use rubbers to make bombs. God, he is so fucking stupid. The claim from the Trump administration drew widespread confusion and skepticism until on Thursday an account on the tweeters found there was a U.S. grant worth $83 million that was directed towards the prevention of sexually transmitted diseases in Gaza. However, the Gaza referenced in the grant description wasn't in the occupied Palestinian territories. It was referring to a province in Mozambique. Gaza is a rural province in the African nation and is the country's least populated, with an estimated population of just over 1 million people. The grant was given to the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation, which works on different health programs in Mozambique. It's unclear whether this is what the Trump administration was referring to, given that there are multiple locations in the world named Gaza, including inside the U.S., U.S. aid reports for the years between 2007 and 2023 do not show any records of condoms being shipped to the Gaza Strip. And Dana Stroll, a former Pentagon official, said on tweeters that USA didn't spend any money on the Gaza Strip in 2023. Throughout the Israeli war on Gaza, which began in October 2023, Israeli authorities limited the amount of aid into the Palestinian territory. And then the Trump administration has also backed the crackdown of the UNRWA and all this other stuff. So, yeah. So just going back up here, I just got, they use them as a method of making bombs. How about that? How about that? They're making rubber bombs. They're making condom bombs. You know what? I make condom bombs too, baby. But, you know, they don't go boom. They go hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. I don't know what the fuck that means. So I haven't decided yet if we're going to do a secret show tonight or not. We're definitely not doing one tomorrow night. For I'll be attending a birthday festivity with cake and wine, and I'm sure that's probably going to be a good combo. We might do one tonight. It really just depends on how much goodness I get gathered for the show, and if I actually really feel like doing it too, to be honest with it. But you'll know through the usual channels of communication whether that's going to go down or not. So just be looking out for that. No Willie Bragg show tonight. He doesn't do Friday nights anymore, I don't think. Unless he's doing one tonight, and then, you know, fuck me, maybe I'm just stupid. Around the World with Dee and Friends, she's on tonight. And, of course, our buddy Kevin at Black Bear News at 2 p.m. Eastern this evening. All of them are on YouTube, but they're on other platforms as well, too. So, let me see if I'm missing anything else. I think that is it for right now. I think, let's see. want to thank everybody over there. Go Start and Miguel holding it down on Rumble. I don't know where my Rockfin peoples are today. Maybe they're just lurking today. It's fine. And all yous on the YouTubes watching too. So, yeah. And for those on Facebook who might be watching this through other channels, they're like, why aren't you doing this on Facebook anymore? They won't let me do it on there. But they didn't say I was banned. They just keep saying it's an error, and I don't get anything. I don't get any information. Nobody tells me anything. You know how it goes. All right. So, other than that, I think that's everything from here. You guys, have a wonderful weekend. Like we said, this is the last day of January. February starts tomorrow. And it's the shortest month of the year. So it's only 28 this year. Last year it was 29 because it was a leap year. No leaping this year. We just stay put. 28 days. That's all you get. All right, gang. I will see you. If I don't see you tonight, I will see you on Monday morning doing this thing again. Thanks, everybody. Love each and every one of you. If you can, like, share, and subscribe. All my information is down below if you want to donate to the show. We've got Patreon. We got Cash App, all that kind of stuff. Or if you can just share out the links, that helps me too. So appreciate you. Love you. Take care, everybody. And we'll see you on the flip side. Peace.
This is City Alpha 5!
Soon.